Hi, Misha here, and well, I can certainly say the last week has been anything but uneventful. Well, sort of. There's actually a lot of boredom, but also a lot of events. As I've talked about a little bit on the main channel and mentioned on the Patreon page, last Wednesday morning we had a tornado come through here. So I'll talk about that a bit. And we lost power, and that led to some kind of interesting things. Also, there's a cat attacking the box at the moment. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, a few things to talk about. I'm rather tired, so we'll see how this goes. We're just a week after everything that happened. And somewhat ironically, I actually recorded a different Blackbox, a previous one, during the tornado. Although at the time we didn't know there was a tornado going on. So I will probably publish that Blackbox with kind of a caveat of it being a little out of date here in the future. But for now, I thought doing an updated one, kind of let everyone know how things went, wouldn't be such a bad idea, right? So let's get into it. So the Cliff Notes version. Yeah, last Tuesday night, leading into Wednesday morning, it started to storm here. It was very warm that Monday. In fact, we had been out shooting the previous Saturday, so the weekend was actually quite warm, and then it got kind of muggy by Monday. And as wont to do here, the weather is changing. And about 2 a.m., 3 a.m., my wife said that there was a, tornado watch. And then there was actually a tornado warning. But they were saying at the time, while it had touched down, it was a little one, no big deal, essentially. And then the power went out about 4:30 in the morning. So we didn't have a lot of information. And that's actually when I recorded the previous Blackbox, because I had nothing else to do. One funny thing, I sleep with a box fan on, the white noise. When I tend to sleep very lightly, not very well, and I need that white noise, otherwise every little noise wakes me up. But anyway, so I couldn't sleep, and it was kind of muggy, and so I recorded the video. And then I did try to go to bed, and it was starting to maybe drift off a bit. It was about 8 a.m., and then my phone rang, and it was a family member calling to ask if we were okay. I'm like, yeah, well, we're here. I said, A, I really appreciate your concern. B, why did you have to call right now? I was just dozing off, and we still didn't have power, which is a little odd. We've never lost power for too terribly long here. Oh well, figured it'd be come back on. By noon it had not, and so the wife ran to grab us lunch. And by this time we knew that it was more than just a little tornado. This time the estimates were that it was up to maybe an F2. And we knew that at least a half a dozen people had gone to the hospital, and that it had done some pretty good damage, luckily to a lot of businesses only instead of housing, although it did hit at one trailer park, because tornadoes in trailer parks, it's essentially a meme, but it is very true. And it hit a school, but luckily, since it was 4 something in the morning, there were no children there yet. If it had been later, would have been far worse. In fact, in general, that was kind of one of the helpful things, that the time it hit, most people were at home, or even if they were up getting ready for work, they weren't at work yet, or even on the road yet. So we continue on, no power. My wife has to leave for work. And by this point, the temperature is really dropping. It went from 70 some odd degrees down to 60, 50, into the 40s. And she's using her phone. It's supposed to get down into the 30s, around 30 degrees that night. Still not too worried about it as far as getting power back. So still can't do much. You don't think about it till the power's gone, but can't cook food, don't have any hot water, don't have any heat, don't have a way to run a fan. Computer's out. I had a battery backup on my desktop for a while, but by this point it's long gone. Ironically, the internet still worked, but the router had no power, so yeah. And since, I'm blind, I can't just go read a paper book and do all that. So yeah, that's why I recorded a couple of videos for the main channel during the afternoon. I actually hauled a table outside and did that, figuring, what else? But still thinking the power would be back on that evening. And I was doing pretty good until dark. By this point, I'm getting hungry, and I didn't sleep the night before, so I'm tired. I'm dirty, feel gritty, just had no way to get warm. It's starting to get rather chilly in the house because it's 40 some odd outside, and even though our house is quite well insulated, it stayed warm for most of the day. But by the evening, it's starting to kind of wear off, and it's getting a little chilly, and can't make hot coffee or tea or whatever. Still hanging in there thinking, we'll probably get power back before my wife's home from work. She calls me about 8 o'clock that evening saying she talked to the electric company, and they're not gonna get power back to us until Saturday afternoon, and this is Wednesday, so essentially 3 days. I'll be honest with you, at this point I'm kinda not freaking out, but I'm getting a little, thinking like this is more long term. Obviously can't stay here 3 days. It's getting cold. I have no way to do anything or clean myself. On the other hand, I don't want to leave the house, abandon the place. My wife has work. Essentially, I'm thinking, what the hell are we gonna do? As some may know, my wife works kind of second shift, and so she wasn't going to be home until about 12:30 a.m. So technically Thursday morning. Again, we got to figure out what we're gonna do. Yeah. Ultimately, what we ended up having to do, we drove down to my mother's house, which is about an hour and some change away, hour and 10 minutes on a good day, an hour and 30 minutes with traffic. It was closer to an hour and 30 minutes because the roads were kind of a little clogged up, a lot of the lights were still out, and we need to stop and get gas. So she comes home at 12:30, and we decide to pack up, and it was a little easier for me to pack up in the dark than it was her. She was trying to use a flashlight, but not the best way to try to pack. Luckily, I had done some laundry a few days earlier, and luckily I had charged up battery on my phone and the camera, so my phone's still holding out. See, that's the benefit of having an old flip phone. Keeps the battery a lot longer. But we throw what we can in the car, and the problem is we have the cats, so we can't stay gone for long, but the idea is, well, at least go down, get a hot shower, get some sleep. So drove down. At first she was thinking maybe she'd just leave me there and drive back, but I convinced her to stay the night. So we both got there, and it was pretty late by the time we got there, about 3:30 in the morning. So get in, we both grab a hot shower, which felt really freaking good, partially because I was cold, partially because I felt dirty. And then we sleep on my mother's, frankly, god-awful guest bed. Now, this thing is like on an old antique frame, and it's they say it's a queen. I think it's a full size. If it's a queen, it's a small queen. The problem is when two people are trying to sleep on it, anytime someone rolls, it wiggles and jiggles. It's like the worst part of a waterbed. Almost like trying to sleep on a ship. So yeah, Plus, my mother has a propensity to keep the house at 78 degrees. We keep our house at night at 68 degrees. That was hot. Anyway, some sleep is better than no sleep, especially when you haven't slept for over a day. And so she stays, and I end up staying down there with, computer rather reluctantly, but I also realize, here's the thing. She comes back, she can go to work. And where she works, of course, they have heat and power. They also have the kitchenette, and they even have a shower there. They have like a on-site gym and stuff and a shower. So she can eat food there, cook food, and go to take a shower there. Me, if I come back here, I'm going to be stuck in a powerless house. So very reluctantly, I stay down there. I'm rather nervous about this. I don't like leaving the cats alone. I don't like leaving my stuff alone. You know how power outages can be. Some people. Also at this time, we realized that the, small tornado turned out to be an F3, which is, not the biggest, but not tiny. And it did a good chunk of damage. And it was very fast moving. I think they said that it made 5 miles in 8 minutes, something like that. And it was completely out of nowhere. Like, there wasn't time for the sirens to go off, and there wasn't even time for the weather alert thing to happen on the cell phones. So it kind of came out of nowhere, which in some ways is good. At least we didn't know it was happening until after it did. Otherwise, you might be kind of freaking out and worrying, but it was kind of over before we knew it. And luckily, it doesn't seem like anyone, there were no fatalities, which was kind of interesting to me. I realized when I get down there having internet again, it didn't really make any news. Like, no one even heard about it. None of my friends even knew it happened. And as one friend said, yeah, when no one dies, the news doesn't care. Instead, by this point, all the news is all about Chris LaRock getting hit by Will Smith. I don't know what the fuck. I don't follow that crap. But yeah, when I went on to check, seemed like everything everyone wanted to talk about. So yeah, that was special. So I get down there. There's power. There's internet. Although, just to tweak my nose a bit, that evening on Thursday, my mother's internet went down for a while. So yay. But again, power and whatnot. But to be honest with you, I wasn't prepared to leave. I was nervous about leaving, and it wasn't the time. It was just so impromptu. It was better than nothing, but mostly just very tired and worried. So I probably wasn't the most enjoyable, conversant person down there. Plus, my computer was being a bastard to me, my laptop. They kept wanting to get me to install Windows 11. The problem was the prompt to install it came up before my text-to-speech software, so effectively it blocked me out of the computer because I couldn't hear to navigate to tell it to install or not to install. That was frustrating. For a normal person, it wouldn't be a big deal, but, when you can't know what your computer's doing because it's not talking, it was frustrating. And it was just kind of on top of everything else. Nevertheless, Thursday went okay. I visited a family member or two, caught up on emails, kind of just told people what was up and what have you. But then Friday happened. Friday morning, I woke up and I was nervous that it was late. Keep in mind, I didn't have my laptop in the room with me there and everything. It was turned off, but I didn't know what time it was. But I kept thinking, oh God, it's 12:30 or 1. What's going on? It's late in the day. And so I was just kind of tossing and turning, couldn't rest, kind of had a stomach ache a bit. Again, probably nerves, had a bit of a headache. Finally just decided I better get up and grabbed a shower. It was 9:30 in the morning. So I was very tired already again. But what do you do? So I got up and continue to have computer problems and so on and so forth. the good news, that afternoon, the power came back on, so about a day early. The bad news, I had several people who offered right out of hand, oh, I'll drive you back when it happens. And fortunately, that all kind of didn't work. My mother's vehicle had a check brake light come on, something like that, something important. And she called the car company, and they said, well, you can drive it around town, but don't take it far. And this on top of the fact, she's 80 years old. I'm not real keen on that anyway, her driving me. I tried calling a couple other family members that had offered. No one picked up. And yeah, my wife's at work. But at this point, I'm not feeling good. I want her to sleep in my own bed. I had forgotten a couple of things. Okay, I might have missed Peanut the cat a bit. And just really wanted to be home. So another friend that had offered that lives up here, I called him, and he's usually very reliable, but he said, look, he had one of those really bad days, and he didn't have money for gas. And I'm like, well, crap. But after talking with me, he said over the phone, he was listening to me, he goes, yeah, you really need help, don't you? And I go, eh. He's like, you need to get out of there. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do, because I don't like feeling trapped anywhere. I don't think a lot of people do, but I was starting to really kind of feel trapped and claustrophobic down there, and no way out. So he drove down and got me, and I filled his tank up with gas. And as another kind of part of it, there was a rifle he was wanting that a friend of mine had, so we ended up swinging by my friend's place to pick it up. Yeah, it was a good bit out of the way. It kept me from getting home for a couple hours earlier than I would have, but he got something out of it, and still happy to help. So did not end up getting home until about 11 o'clock in the evening Friday night. So beat my wife home from her getting home from work, but not by much. And yeah, she could have driven at 1 a.m. to come get me, which meant round trip. She wouldn't have gotten there till 2:30. Even if we packed up quick, we wouldn't have gotten back here till 4 a.m. again. And I really did not want her driving that late on a Friday night after being tired. There was no good answers, but one day maybe we'll talk about it more. I had some kind of flashbacks to my childhood and in younger days when kind of trapped down there, and it just was not enjoyable, and the whole thing was unexpected, and it was both boring and stressful, and all in all just kind of a waste of time. Just wanted to be home and back to work, frankly. So get back, was planning to try to sleep in late Saturday. Didn't quite work out. I woke up somewhat early for me, and went to work, recorded some videos, continued to catch up on emails, met up with a friend. He needed some Japanese parts. And, Saturday was a good day. It was nice to be home. And then Sunday, I was finally able to rest. I was very, very lazy Sunday. I think that's when things kind of caught up with me, if you know what I mean. Just slept a lot, and even when I was up, I didn't want to do anything. I was just kind of chilling and dozed off several times, but it was good. I needed kind of a rest day. And then the week begins. There's still some mess they're cleaning up here, but that just takes time, and that's part of living in a region where there are tornadoes. Now, where I live right here, it's not a very common thing. Another funny thing that happened, at first, people were saying, oh, it was 2 or 3 miles from your house. Then they were saying, oh, it was about 1.5 miles from your house. And then later on, it was half a mile from your house. Turns out that at its closest, it's touched down like a block away from my house. So, yet again, kind of glad we didn't know it at the time, because, you can't do much about it. It either hits you or it doesn't. So it turns out to be a near miss for us, but not for everyone. And I feel bad that I was so annoyed and stressed about, frankly, just losing power when other people lost so much more. I try to be empathetic about that kind of thing, but at the same time, it's all relative. And the thing about someone like me that can't drive, when that happens, I'm here. There's nothing I can do. I mean, it is everything that I have for either work or entertainment relates to power. And without it, it's not great. And it was getting cold in the house, and I was just getting over being sick. Anyone who's followed this channel or the main one knows that I got a nasty bug there that clung on for over a week, and I was just starting to feel good. And then I get chilled that day, and the cough was starting to come back, and just kind of starting to feel that way. And I was like, nah, I'm not getting sick again. That's just not happening. I can't afford it. I don't want to. I like working. I like being active. So, yeah. It certainly wasn't the way I planned to spend the end of March. That's for sure. Like I said, some of it was just a bunch of boredom and waste. Other parts were just stressful, and didn't know where I was going to be, what I was going to do, how I was going to get home. Yeah. But in the end, all's well that ends well. And most importantly, Miss Peanut wasn't too mad at me. Typically, if I go away and leave her for more than a day, she gets rather grumpy. A few positives. The day it happened, last Wednesday, I got a British Mark A Whippet tank, 172 scale from Wings of the Great War, in the mail. I had bought it off eBay from a seller in the UK. It did kind of crack me up that a package from halfway around the world came the same day we had no power. I don't know why I felt that was funny. Probably being sleep deprived. Also that day, UPS brought me a gun I'd ordered. I decided I needed another Broger and Thomat TP9N. Actually, it's the first N I'd ever had. I had the original TP9 from DSA before, and then I sold it to Jay. So it's kind of nice that at least came in, so I had something to kind of unpack and mess with. Better than nothing, guys. And certainly when I look at that gun from now on, I will think of the day. Really, the first afternoon wasn't bad at all. It was actually kind of darkly amusing, if that makes sense. It was just when I realized it was going to be several days that I kind of knew I had to do something. I also had a batch of models come in from Flying Mule. There was a new Chinese J10 model. There were some tanks, the Leopard 1 and 2 from Germany. So good stuff for future content. So at least stuff did come in that day to let me entertain myself. And luckily I had videos, I had batteries charged for the video camera, so I could record, a good bit before I drained them all. Of course, there's been world events since I recorded the other Blackbox. Things in Ukraine are continuing to get, frankly, depressing, but I think we'll talk about that in another video. I just wanted to say that, we made it through okay. And luckily everyone in our community is okay, at least physically okay. It'll take a little time to restore the damaged areas. Again, luckily it was mostly businesses. Not that having businesses damaged is good, but between being a house damaged and the business, I think most would agree the business is more preferred. The city kids get out of school, so maybe they like that if they had power. They said about 43,000 people lost power in the area in Arkansas. So yeah, it's a good chunk. About, they say 10,000 people in our area. I'm not sure if they meant 10,000 people or 10,000 households. Not really sure on that, but a significant portion. But that's just what we do. I mean, lots of people survive hurricanes, earthquakes, blizzards. That's a real thing, especially in Russia. It's just life. But I wanted to give a little black box, although it's probably more of a gray box now as the sun comes up. But yeah, I'll do more of a talk. Probably need to address the Ukrainian situation a bit more and a few other things. But for now, just wanted to do a personal video about how we got through. So all's well that ends well, and I appreciate everyone who emailed and contacted me. And yeah, we will keep on doing videos and other fun stuff. This is Misha, and if you could, do comment, and if you'd like, share and subscribe, that'd be good too. Catch you very soon next time.